Commonwealth Bank. Let's talk with Stephen Leuschel this morning, the Indiana Regional Medical Center. He joins us, and we're talking about something called Operational Excellence, which is your specialty. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Wonderful. It's good to have you with us
Thanks
here
for
today.
having me. I appreciate it.
So explain it. What is Operational Excellence in the context of the Indiana Regional Medical Center?
So operational excellence, some others define it as lean or the Toyota production system. We also use the Malcolm Baldrige performance excellence criteria, but basically I like to summarize it as mutual trust and respect. And that is mutual trust and respect between our employees and our administration, the community and the hospital, our patients and the hospital, and what can we do to solve problems and make things better. So it's really about making things better every single day.
I was going to ask, what's the goal, what's the outcome that you're looking for when you pursue the Operational Excellence program?
Again, it's to make things better every single day. So there's really not a silver bullet in changing any organization or making any community the best place it can be. It's really about everyone every single day striving for the best. So that's really what operational excellence is.
All right. So tell me some of the tools that you use to pursue it.
Some of the tools that we have implemented throughout the hospital and starting to implement throughout the physicians group are daily stand-up meetings. So it's a time when we pause and reflect on the good things or any mistakes that may have occurred so that we can problem solve to the root to make sure that they don't happen again, and to really make sure we're solving things proactively and talking about improvements and talking about our standards every single day. So, at the front line level, it may be just a 5-minute stand-up meeting that occurs once or twice a day. We visualize our metrics on the units to make sure that we're improving, and we want all of our staff to know where we're at in terms of our safety, our quality, our service indicators, so that they can know how they can impact to make things better at Indiana Regional Medical Center.
Now, as we think about that, and you mentioned relating to patient health. Of course, that's the number one goal, is related to patient health. But then, operating efficiently as an organization has to be a part of that as well. And I would guess that operational excellence sort of applies to all of those standards.
Yes, they do. And the best part about what I get to do is to see all the good things that we do. So again, it may be a small, simple improvement that's made on a day-to-day basis, or it may be some large-scale improvement that the team or different teams have worked on over the course of months or years. You can see we've got new buildings up there, and that there's a lot of work in that, not just from an infrastructure standpoint, but from a process standpoint as well. So, and we have the staff really to thank for all the efforts that are happening at the hospital.
Is there a specific department under which operational excellence finds itself? Is there a department of operational excellence, or are you under some other branch of the hospital?
So the operational excellence is the department, and that's the question that I get most often when I tell folks, I work in operational excellence or continuous improvement, and they say, oh well, what department is that? And really, I love my job because I'm able to work with every single department at the hospital. So I look at it as it's a hospital-wide, it's an Indiana Regional Medical Center IPG-wide initiative. So it's just housed in the Operational Excellence Department.
Yeah, I can guess that when something new is implemented, there's natural resistance in humans, because we say to ourselves, well, I've been doing it this way for years. But when you have an open mind to something like operational excellence, the program as you describe it, then you can begin to mold within yourself, okay, how can I put this to work to actually improve job performance, improve patient health? And so as you begin to think about that, one of the problems that might crop up in your head is, okay, operational excellence applied to patient care. If every patient is unique and brings a unique set of circumstances to their case, how do I apply these principles to them?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. And over the last few decades of continuous improvement implementation in healthcare specifically, that was one of the main questions that comes up is, we're not cars, we're not widgets, we're patients. And excuse me, how do we treat a unique patient in some standardized fashion? So, one of the examples that I give is with our stroke program. We've worked with citizens and other emergency services, with our emergency department, with laboratory, with CT, with the physicians, et cetera. So there's a lot of different moving parts to the stroke program, for example, and we want to make sure that when a patient comes in with signs and symptoms of a stroke, that we're following the same process and that it's a standardized process so that it happens as quickly as possible. So that's probably one of the best examples I have is just standardizing processes, standardizing care sets so that we can treat the patient uniquely, but also, again, just follow best practice so that people get great care.
And by staying on top of it as a staff, I would guess then therefore it becomes more of a natural thing for you to do rather than standing there with the checklist. All right, have I followed this protocol? Now move to this one and this one and this one. The goal would have to be, let's make it just a part of a natural progression that occurs to me, and I'm not thinking about it, I'm doing it.
Right, yeah. In the beginning of a brand new process, you may sit there with a checklist and watch the process and audit. And, back to the stroke example, we actually went through mock drills to make sure that we had the process down pat before we even started. But once you audit, you make sure that everyone knows the process. And if someone makes a mistake, if someone doesn't understand, you're able to correct real time so that it becomes just ingrained into what we do every single day.
A couple of moments ago, you mentioned suggestion and improvement and systemizing that. How does that work?
Yeah, so there's this misconception out there about suggestion systems, and I think what most people think of is the box on the wall where you have an idea, you drop it in, and nobody ever checks the box. What we've tried to do is put the ownership back on the employee to say, okay, you have an idea, this is a criteria. We want you to implement it yourself, or we want you to own it yourself. So some of the really cool improvements that have come out over the last couple years, our winner from 2015 was Danny McCloskey, and what she did was she was actually at one of her huddles at the cardiology huddle, and it was a January day, much colder than it is today, so it was like a day like it was last week or the week before. The snow was coming down, and she saw an elderly woman coming in from the parking lot, walking through the parking lot, so that she could drop off her heart monitor that she had taken home. And she had questioned, why would we want a patient to come in and do that? We don't want people to be walking through the parking lot if they don't have to come into the hospital if they don't have to. So she created a process where she just put a sticker instruction on a baggie so that we give these to our patients now. And when they're able to put that monitor back in a bag and either they can drop it right off at the front doing a drive-by, they can give it to their kid or their grandkid to bring it in. So it's about patient safety and patient satisfaction and just making things easier and safer for patients. Yeah, and that was one of the improvements, like I said, from a few years ago.
A couple of other examples, because that sounds to me pretty fascinating because, as you said, it's employee-driven. It's somebody saying, all right, a more common-sense approach because I deal with this every day. I see this happening right in front of me, and I have a way that I think might make things better.
Another one from this past year, Annie Gressick, she was noticing that the cords, when we scan our medications to make sure that we're giving the right medication to the right patient, and she noticed that the cords on her unit were a little bit too short. So she put in an idea to just get longer cords, to get kind of a bungee style cord, so that when she has to reach over a patient, if the name band or if the barcode is on the opposite side, she's able to, and everybody's able to reach across easier, which increases our med scanning, which increases employee safety. So, there's all kinds of ideas like that. In that example, a cord might be $10 or $20, and it's just, if we don't give our employees the opportunity to raise problems and to raise improvements, that may have gone unnoticed. But it's just, so that's another great simple example of how we can how we can increase patient safety.
I would assume that Indiana Regional Medical Center isn't unique in having a department that operates as yours does. Is there some sort of clearinghouse or collection point where great ideas like that can be applied elsewhere within the industry? People say, I see at Indiana Regional Medical Center they're doing that here, and maybe we could try that where we are. And then IRMC can also look at the way others are doing things.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything quite like that. I know we've started to do things. So I'm part of the PRHI, the Pittsburgh Regional Health Initiative, and a few years ago we formed a Lean Healthcare Collaborative where we've got all the folks like me at different hospitals get together and talk, and that's something that we've tried to flourish. I just talked to the person in my position yesterday from actually two different people from two major hospitals in the area, and they're both interested in coming to see what we're doing, and we're interested in going to see what they're doing. So, my opinion is compete As I was going through high school, I learned the definition of compete, and we typically think compete is working against each other, but it really means, it comes from the Latin root competire, and to seek together. So if we can all seek together patient safety, that's really the goal. And I think the folks that are in my position, I really believe that most healthcare administrators around, especially in the Pittsburgh and surrounding areas, want to work together to make things better for our patients.
Does this also apply outside of the healthcare industry, the hospital industry, to other industries, for instance?
Yeah, it does. I was involved in paper, pulp, powdered metal, medical device manufacturing. So, the tools may change a little bit from here and there to different organizations, but the concepts and the principles of, we want employees to give their suggestions, to own the improvements. We want to solve problems to the root. We want to create master plans for improvement. Those are really, you can apply them to any industry anywhere.
Yeah. So we had you on just briefly in our last half hour, and you mentioned your Facebook page. Would that be the best source for people who want to learn more about operational excellence?
Yeah, we have the Indiana Regional Medical Center Facebook page, and then I have another Facebook page, the Leaders Library, where I just talk about different improvement activities. So, and I think there's some other ones there as well. I'll try to post them later on the Indiana Facebook page when I post this video as well.
Yeah. Others within locally here, have they sort of picked up on this idea as well? Other companies?
We've had a couple companies and healthcare providers come to our training. We do the training once or twice a month, where we take about 4 hours. We go around, look at different improvement ideas. We observe a couple huddles. So we've had a couple people take us up on that offer and come and learn. I don't know what they've implemented, but I think, as you go into any organization, they've got pieces of different lean and operational excellence systems. And what we're trying to do is pull everything together into one system and one improvement framework.
He is Stephen Leuschel, Indiana Regional Medical Center, Operational Excellence. Interesting conversation. Thanks for coming in and sharing it with us.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
And you actually videotaped this, and that's going to make it onto your Facebook page as well, correct?
Most of it, yeah. I heard the video camera shut off a few minutes ago, so most of this will be on the Facebook page.
All right, here's an idea that we can implement. A longer tape, a bigger disc, whatever it happens to be. Thanks again.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
We appreciate it very, very much. It's Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank, WCCS, AM 1160 and FM 101.1. Going to get right to our Second Cup song because Chuck Clark is here, and he'll be bringing us news in about 5 minutes. Second Cup today brought to you by Lezer Lumber. On a Thursday, that's the way it happens. And this helpful home improvement message coming from Lezer Lumber, Wayne Avenue in Indiana. Attic conversions can significantly increase the value and the functionality of a home by taking advantage of additional living space in the form of a new room, such as a bedroom, an office, or an equipment room, maybe an entertainment room. Deciding to undertake that, though, should include some basic primary considerations. For instance, is the slope of your roof steep enough to provide enough flat ceiling space or adequate wall height in your converted attic? If not, you probably have to make some structural modifications to do something like that. A finished attic space also needs to be accessible by a set of straight or corkscrew stairs leading to a standard-sized doorway. Very important, of course. You want to make your comfort level as good as it could be. Framing the walls and the ceilings, that relates partly to point one, although framing is a consideration no matter where you are and whether you modify the space or not. Hanging drywall is something else. That'll actually decrease the size of the space because the drywall has some width to it as well, some depth. Installing heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. In an attic can get very hot, very cold too. Installing electrical outlets and phone jacks and plumbing and accessing natural light via standard windows, dormers, or skylights. Those are all considerations when you are considering whether or not you're going to convert your attic into a livable space of some sort for an office or as an extra bedroom, maybe a room for the kids to mess around in. So take it all into consideration, and the folks at Lezer Lumber can help you with that. Lezer knows how many contractors there are in this area, and they have personal relationships with a lot of them, and they can recommend one that's right for your attic conversion. When you have questions, your local Lezer Lumber store has the answers. Lezer Lumber, Wayne Avenue in Indiana. They always bring us our Thursday Second Cup song, and today, a little music from James Taylor.